Good evening. Okay, welcome to today's session over here. So as usual, what we'll do is I'll quickly give you an update of the market. And then from there on, what we'll do is we'll look into some of the questions that you guys have and we'll answer those questions that were sent in. Quick update. Dollar index over here. Yesterday we did get a very nice little push up, but today we did see the market come back down. So right now, I think you just want to be a little bit careful. We may want to start to rotate this back into neutral point of view, because something to note is when we see a very nice little reaction, first off, impulsive to the upside, we don't expect this to come down fast, right? And right now we're seeing that. So this may start to develop into maybe more of a complex stuff. So usually during this kind of situation, you just want to be very, very careful. Take note of that. Again, I might just give it a little bit more time, maybe tomorrow morning when I come back in. If we kind of continue to see a little bit of this kind of corrective structure that is developing, then I'll be shifting this potentially to neutral, and then we'll just see how it goes from there. So that also kind of translates to euro, where we kind of see a very nice little drop here. And this morning I was waiting and see if we can get some kind of corrective structure. Then we can obviously look for a sell, but we didn't really get that, but instead we get a V, right? So usually, again, whenever we see something like that, we want to just be neutral, be patient on that. But I don't suggest you go and buy this, because again, this entire piece here doesn't really look very strong to the upside. This may break a little bit at the top, but again, this kind of structure here is not very sustainable to the upside. So don't try to be too aggressive in buying it up, right? So I wouldn't be buying, wouldn't be selling for euro dollar. So that's a quick update on that. Pound dollar here, we did have a update earlier this morning as well, especially for those of you who actually watched the YouTube video. Every Wednesday, we did send out that together with the analysis, right? We have already updated this to potentially a fifth wave structure here. And what we're seeing, this is more of an impulse correction. For me, I want to see an impulsive break below this structure level. And then from there, any consolidation would be definitely a sell opportunity for pound dollar. Okay, so but for now, let's just be patient. Let it come back down first before we get into any sell. Don't get overly aggressive, right? Because this can basically just keeps continuing to develop like that. And then you don't want to be in that trade yet. Aussie dollar over here, kind of neutral from now, because again, we broke this recent low. So what can happen here is the market may do a little bit of a consolidation and then coming back down, tag this recent low before that bounce, perhaps, right? So that will give you then that double bottom. So this one here, nothing much. We just give it time. Dollar CAD, we're still waiting for the pullback, so nothing much to update on this as well. This is definitely an impulse push, so don't try to charm in as a buy. Wait for the pullback, then only we look for the buy. Dollar yen here, something to take note as well is that if this starts to go up a little bit more, and I think tomorrow we'll get a clearer picture if this is going to be kind of like a structure that looks something like that, which means tomorrow, the market continue to go higher a little bit, maybe tonight, going into tomorrow. If that's the case, then we'll be cautious on any sell, because then that builds into kind of like a mini flag, which opens up the possibility that we may get another pushback up above this recent high. And we'll need to then see how the market is going to break above that. So be careful on that. Some of this here, especially because of dollar, some of this major here may be at kind of like a complex structure. So you just want to really pay a little bit more attention and keep an eye on how the market is developing, and then you need to update it as we go. So most of this major, nothing much. If you don't have any of these trades here, then just leave it. I think you just want to give it some time until next week. Wait until things are clear. Gold here as well. If you're short term, I think there might be an opportunity for a sell here. If let's say this kind of push up a little bit more towards that 50 and 618, then we kind of have this as a impulse correction, and then we expect one more drop, right? So that's something you can look out for. I think if this is going to develop very nicely here, perhaps by tomorrow or Friday, we may get a trade. That's on gold. I think that's one of the clearest of all the majors. Crude oil update. This one here, I would suggest you want to give it a bit more time and see if we can get a deeper pullback before that sell. So this kind of similar to gold in a way. We have this push down. So if you can get a corrective structure here, we'll look for one more move. So this one, you probably just need to wait until next week, because if this is going to go back up in a slow fashion, it takes time. S&P kind of coming down to this low here. So right now, you can definitely pay a little bit more attention and see if we can get a crawl, right? So if we can get a crawl maybe by Friday, then I think we have a buy stop breakout trade to the upside. If the market breaks back up, then that will be a very, very nice little buy trade for the S&P and general equities in general. Other than that, we do have the Aussie yen. So this one here, I did manage to get in as a breakout trade. So very simple. We have this drop, this little push back up. But again, you can see very cross structure perspective. And then we get 1 minute impulse. Then this was the correction, and then we'll just look for the break. So very, very simple structure kind of setup. Right now, the market is kind of testing this fib area, right? So we can see some kind of reaction around 100%. I did exit my sell trade already. So this is basically the profits that I catch. The risk reward is just about 1:2. But this is more of a short-term trade that I'm interested in, because from here on, what can happen is this can be an ABC as a running flat. So I'm actually getting out of that trade. I'm giving away, the possibility where this may just come back a little bit more, but I'm fine to give away that part to just lock in whatever I have right now, okay? So why I say that this may potentially be a running flat is really because with this drop here, we kind of see the RSI actually went into extreme. And from this low here to this low here, we kind of had a kind of what we call a hidden divergence. So again, whenever we kind of see a hidden divergence, there might be a possibility that this may play out into what we call a running flat. So meaning that the price doesn't need to come back and retest this bottom. It can basically from here on starts to bounce higher from there to give us this as a 1. This is a corrective structure as a running flat, and then the next move up. So for that reason, I'm just going to get out with whatever I have, and then we'll wait for the next setup on Aussie yen. For me, this is the only trade I had this week. Then pound odd over here, basically neutral. You probably don't want to be jumping in any trade at this moment, right? Especially with this little impulse push, right? So that one, nothing much on that. BTC kind of give us a pretty nice little push up today, and it seems impulsive, right? What I'm going to likely do for tomorrow over here is an update for you guys first, right? Is that initially we were expecting kind of like 1, 2, 3. If this does a slow one here, we can expect a drop, right? So to complete that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But seems like this is pretty strong to the upside as of today. So a quick update on this here, I would start to rotate this back into something like that. Definitely not buying it immediately, but if we can get a pullback here as a corrective phase, we can then start to expect more upside, right? Because from here, then higher time frame perspective, whether this is going to be end of wave 5 or we can see another peak to conclude wave 5, that may still be a possibility. For me, what's going to confirm that is basically, can we get a corrective structure here? If we can get, we'll still look for the buy. So this one here, probably we're going to rotate it to maybe a little bit more of a neutral to slightly bullish, depending on how market is going to develop in the next 1 or 2 days. So those are the updates. Quick one over here in Chef Yen. Okay, so Chef Yen is not a typical chart that I look at often, so I don't really keep track of all this on a day-to-day basis. But this one here was brought up by one of the traders, and I kind of thought that it's pretty interesting, and therefore I'm looking for a potential trade over here. Why this particular pair, right? What am I interested in, and why I decided to just focus on this as well is because we do have, from a daily point of view, first part here is we have this little top, and of course the market is kind of testing that, right? So you can see we have a little double top on the daily, and we had a very nice little rejection, right? You can see this red daily candle down. So first up, we have that, and then on the lower time frame, what we have is also a completed 3-wave structure from this low here. So we have a 1, 2, 3, right? Very, very big 3-wave structure. The fibs of 100% is around there as well. So not only do we have the double top, we have that fibs, we have the 3-wave structure completion. Whether this part here, right, is going to be a major reversal, all the way down, or it's just going to be starting to give us some kind of a deeper pullback. To me, that's not the most important aspect, because whatever it is, there's a good chance the price may come down, right? The probability is quite high, and I'm interested in it. So if let's say I'm going to take this trade and the market doesn't do a total reversal and it's just going to come down maybe halfway, okay, meet me at this point, whatever profits I can catch is still pretty decent. So for that reason, I've decided to, add this into one of my watch lists. While I don't often trade this, it becomes something that where someone brought it up and it kind of fit into what I'm looking at. The probability is there. The grading of this trade to me is something that I feel is worth noting. And for that reason, that I've just decided to take a look at it. But of course, if things starts to evolve and, we don't really get a nice setup here on, then I'll just remove it from my watch list and then I'm not going to look at it again. Okay. That's all from me. All the best. And we'll see you guys then. Okay. So see you. Bye-bye.